It is the Flow Friday Night Sports Show, and let's take a look at what's happening on the Eyre Peninsula in terms of netball action in Great Flinders and Eastern Eyre Netball. They're back at it again and were last weekend. Joe Franklin joins me on the line to help us go through it. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Freezing cold.
I know, right? Have you got your thermals on?
I know. Winter is upon us.
It finally has arrived. I heard a rumour that this was a winter sport.
Yes, exactly. Although Saturday was still just a little bit on the warm side for the girls. But, certainly this week's going to be a bit cooler.
They'll be wearing the long sleeve shirts. No, not anymore. It's always the bodysuits, isn't it?
Yeah.
No long sleeve bodysuits.
No. We are not. Although, having said that, we Netball SA are about to go to an inclusive uniform. So yes, you will actually be able to wear tights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you will be able to wear the skins. So yeah, they're bringing that out in a couple of weeks, I think. So
not a bad idea.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. But some very interesting games this round, last round of matches, Jace.
Yeah, let's go through it, particularly in Great Flinders. That's where we'll start. And tell you what, the Saints almost did it. They took on Ramblers, and we know Ramblers is a brand new team. This is a great win for the Magpie girls, 35-33. I think the Saints will be disappointed.
Yeah, I think the Saints would be disappointed. Look, Ramblers were very, very fortunate. They were able to have Michaela Richardson home, and she filled in for the Ramblers girls. And Michaela's been playing at Premier League reserves and AMND down in Adelaide for Contacts for a couple of years now. So she's right on it, and she was a huge in for them. And that probably was just what it took for them to get over the line against Eyre United. They slotted Michaela Richo back in with Caitlin Haasma in defence, and Eyre United, they were missing Auntie Little, which would not have helped them at all because a very, very handy defender. But all in all, Ava Pedler was home still for Ramblers, and she had a great matchup on Marty Masson. Marty Masson in the centre for Eyre United did a really, really good job for them, and that was a really good matchup through the centre. But young Shanice Wells, who has gone to Eyre United, an ex-waybacker, young gun, she did a really good job back in goalkeeper for Eyre United. And in the end, the Ramblers girls, they had to change their goalies around. Kira had to end up putting Kelly Simons and Caitlin Benny into goals, and that did seem to really work for them. She put Abby Bates back into wing defence, and Layla Dowdle came out to wing attack. And they just seemed to settle after that, and they had a 11-4 third quarter, and that was all it really took for them to make sure that they put Eyre United to rest, really. But some really good efforts by some young guns in that game. Ava Pedler for Ramblers came away with their incentive, and young Shanice Wells at goalkeeper came away with the incentive award for Eyre United. But I would be thinking Eyre United would be thinking that it was the one that got away from them, but they'd also be aware of the fact of the two big ends that Ramblers had for the day and may not have for the rest of the season.
Well, that's, I think you're right. Maybe the one that got away, but they'll get another chance at them later on in the year, I'm sure. Let's have a look at the other game there in Great Flinders Netball, which we thought this one would be the match of the round, and as it turned out, Cummins Kapini Cougars flexed their muscle a little bit over Elliston Districts, beat them by 16 goals, kept them to just 31. It's a big win for Cougars.
It is a big win for Cougars, and one that they would be glad to put away, I would think, in the bank. Look, Cougars were without Jet Green, which is a huge out for them through the centre, but then Elliston Districts are missing Kelsey Hull, which is huge for them. You don't have a 6-foot defender out of the game and it not affect you. But look, Elliston just struggled in the centre court for a couple of quarters. They really did. Cougars put on a really good, strong centre third zone, and they just really struggled to get through it. Mind you, Elliston also had a couple of injury timeouts during the second quarter. Lorena had blood nose, and Zoe Phelps hit the ground, and you hit those asphalt courts at Elliston, and you end up with very bad grazing. So they sort of had to bring on a couple of B graders into those positions, which really unsettled them, I think, for a little while. But all in all, Cougars, they had young Billy Thompson had her first A grade run through the centre court for the Cougar girls, and evidently did really well. But yeah, all in all, Cougars are again going to be the team to beat. I think Ella Wedd was really good for them, as was Holly Gale, and Nikki Schubert, yet again, as week in, week out, was very, very good for Elliston Districts and took out their best player. But, yeah, one that Cougars will be glad to put away, I reckon. And Elliston, certainly, Kate Baker says she's got a few little notes put away in her notebook ready for the next time they play Cougars.
I imagine she would. Well done to Cougars. Still flying along. So Lock, Tumby Bay and United Yolanda had the bye there. We go to round 4 of matches and who is playing who. And we'll start with United Yolanda taking on Ramblers at Carcoo. I don't know who's going to win this one, to be honest. Ramblers, bit of winning form is good form, but the Eagles are struggling as well.
Oh, look, the Eagles are struggling, which is a little bit sad, really. But as far as I know, Cassie Maxfield will be in for them, which is huge for them and certainly will be a big help with those young ones that are playing there for the Yolanda girls. So they keep trying. They're working really hard. They just don't have that little bit of extra experience and that height and body strength that some of the other clubs. It'll be really interesting because I'm not sure whether Ramblers whether Ava's, coming home. I mean, they're back at school, so I wouldn't think that she'd be coming home this weekend. Not sure what Michaela Richardson's plans are, whether she heads back. I know that Adelaide Metro will be playing this weekend, so those two are huge outs for Ramblers, and I also know that COVID is still going through, so really have got no idea what either side is going to put up. But thinking that Ramblers, I do know that Paige Darlitz is back in this week for Ramblers, so she'll be working in defence with Caitlin Haasma, so there's a bit of experience back in there, and I think that against the United Yolanda girls that Layla and Kelly Symes will probably do okay in goals there against their defenders, although, like I said, Cassie Maxfield is, as far as I know, back in for United Yolanda, so that will be interesting. But I think that Ramblers probably might just get themselves over the line.
All right. A couple of other very interesting games. First of all, at Ungara, these two sides have already done battle once. They're going to go at it again, Eyre United and Tumby Bay, and Tumby Bay won comfortably the first time round. I think they will again this time round.
Well, I don't know. It might be closer than what we think. Eyre United, Brooke is hoping that they will be at full strength. Auntie is supposed to be back this week, so that will be a really good in for them. Look, Ilka, this week is really interesting. Ilka Stone will actually match up against Shanice Wells. Now, there's two ex-waybackers there standing each other, the older experienced one and one of our very good young guns that decided to have a little try up in the Great Flinders League. But so that could be a bit interesting just to see how that does pan out in the end. But look, Eyre United, they're quick goalies. They're moving okay in there, and they're actually shooting quite accurately. So Summer Cave they're going to be working overtime, the Tumby defenders, to keep up with the pace of their goalies. But having said that, through the centre court, Kennedy McNamara, Carly Dunn, up against Marnie Masson and the likes of Renee Colbung, that is going to be a very tight physical contest. And in the end, I do think it's a team that breaks away there and can get the ball through the smoother out of the two will take that game out. And I'm thinking that that's probably the experience of the Tumby Bay side.
All right. And last match of the round is the match of the round. I reckon this one, Lock taking on Elliston Districts. I don't think there's much in it between these two. Sort of neighbours as well. Get a chance to play each other. It'll be at Lock, and this should be a beauty.
Yeah, it should be a beauty. Elliston they're really hoping that they'll be back to full strength. Hopefully no COVID or anything like that. And but they will definitely have Kelsey Hull back in, and I think that'll be the matchup of the day. Lisa Burrows and Kelsey Hull, both tall, strong players. Neither of them give an inch, and I think that is going to be a matchup just to go and watch that matchup, I think is worthwhile, Jace. But then at the other end, you've got Zali Ramsey up against Sarah Skinner. So both ends are going to be very, very interesting to watch, I think. The mid-court probably run out around even. But, I think that there's some really good matchups in this game. And Elliston are definitely not taking it lightly. Kate said that they are aware of the fact that Lock have got a new look lineup and that they will not be taking them easily at all and are ready for a full-on game out there. And I think that Locke are going to really take this up to Elliston, but I just think the fact that those Elliston girls have had a season together already, they are hurting from last week's loss. There's no question about that, and I think they probably might just get over the line against Locke.
All right. Let's move to Eastern Eyre now, and a couple of games from last weekend to talk about. Kimber District's taking on Cow in Kimber. What was the scores here?
Well, Kimber ran away winners there, 55-27, as we sort of expected. I think, look, the Cow, they're blooding some very young ones there and just were not able to compete with the experience of the Kimber side, and unfortunately not 100% sure of what the Kimber side actually did field, but I do know that they are missing a few from last year's side. But Kimber 55-27, that's a fairly good, convincing win for them, and I'm thinking that they would be pretty happy with that, and Cow will certainly back to the drawing board and have a think about what they need to do before they come up to play Kimber again.
Certainly got some work to do, haven't they? But pretty much everyone does that are chasing Kimber and the Eastern Ranges, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, in fairness, I do know that Cow are absolutely, COVID is just running rampant there at the moment, and they are struggling to field sides all the way around, football, netball, everything at the moment. There's, I don't think there's a person that you talk to that hasn't either got it or been a close contact.
Oh, wow. Well, let's hope that clears up in due course. Don't need that hanging around for too long. But the other game in Eastern Eyre was Ports taking on Central Eyre United, who were playing their first game for the year.
Yeah, and they were convincing winners there. They 48-19. They defeated Ports, and look, it was a really tough physical game. Ports just weren't prepared for that. They weren't prepared for the height that Central Eyre Storm have got, and they also just weren't prepared for the physical aspect of the game. And according to their coach, and look, Central Eyre United, they got the jump. They started really well, and Ports just really struggled to get the ball into their goalies for most of the day. And if you can't get the ball into your goalies and you can't shoot the goals, then obviously you're never going to do all that well on the scoreboard. But Rani Tomney, she was her height in goals for Central Eyre United was just way too much for the Ports defenders, and they decided they'd have a complete change around. Chloe thought, right, throw the bibs up. No, not quite like that, but she had a complete change around at half time, and young Courtney Grigg went into goals for them, and she actually did quite well in there. They obviously just decided that it was time to have a bit of a throw around and see what they could do. And whilst they didn't necessarily still score a lot of goals, they were able to find out that Courtney's probably going to be their answer in goals, so that helped them out with that. But Beck Hartness was best for Ports, back in goalkeeper, goal defence, and Rani Tomney was just amazing for Central Eyre Storm in goals. They're a tall side, that Central Eyre United team. There's no question about that.
Very good. Tall sides often prevail in country netball, as you know, Joe, but there's a bit more to it than just being tall. You have to have a bit of class about you as well.
Absolutely, and their tall players do have that. Rani's a very, very handy. She's young as well. Yeah. She's still under 17. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she goes this week, mind you. Do we want to move on to that?
Yeah, let's talk about it, because they'll get the litmus test this week against Kimber. They are playing at home, so the Kimber crew will come down the highway to Kynecutter, and should be an interesting game.
Well, it would have been an interesting game, excepting that, as Cow have for the last 2 weeks, this week, Central Eyre United are combating COVID.
Oh, no.
They are very, very short. Not necessarily in height or stature, but in numbers, it has hit them big time. And honestly, as Zika she said, I have got absolutely no idea who I'm going to be putting out on the court, Joe, because I've got no idea who's going to be the next one affected. At training, I don't think they even enough to have any court play, hardly. So this could be not as interesting as what we thought, with that being the case, and not sure whether Rani might happen to be one of those actually who is affected by the COVID. But so Kimber, not sure how it's going up there either, really. But they are missing some very handy players from last year, Kimber. Geordie McCullum is having a year off. Chelsea Wolford hasn't come back from her Achilles. Jess Clements is having babies. So, they've had to make a few adjustments to their side too. And I would love to have seen Central Air United at full strength up against Kimber just to see exactly how the two of them matched up. But unfortunately, Central Air are not going to be at full strength, and so Kimber are probably going to hope that they can put this one away, I reckon.
Yep, and they likely will. The last match of the round, you would think, unfortunately for my Ports girls, you'd think the Eastern Rangers will probably put it away early. This will be at Rudall, and Ports will travel up there, but unlikely to walk away winners.
No, look, it just doesn't get any easier for Ports, and COVID is the topic of the day. Their coach, Chloe Wake, has got COVID, so she won't be there this week. Megsie Llewellyn is going to step into the coaching role there. They have 3 or 4 players out as well this week. Tish Masters, Sadie Lena and Helene Lichky are all out. They're going to be bringing in some B graders, but unfortunately they're not sure which B graders because they're not sure which ones are going to be fit.
Oh, wow.
No easier. Eastern Rangers a little bit affected by COVID, and they've also still got an injury that will be coming back in there. But look, they just got so much height and so much depth. That's the difference between the two clubs, is that Eastern Rangers have got the depth. When you think about it, they've got Jordan Hooper and Erin Roberts in defence. They've got Nicole and Lauren Symes, both in goals. So at either end, they have players who are just about 6 foot or just a little bit under 6 foot. So, they've got it covered.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Covered.
Well, it's going to be, I guess, a fascinating round again. Great Flinders and Eastern Air Netball on in earnest, and Port Lincoln Netball back again this weekend as well for round 2. Joe, anything else before we wrap it up?
This weekend on Sunday, I know it's Mother's Day, is the Port Lincoln McDonald's Cup Club Carnival. So we have clubs coming from Central Air Storm. We have some Kimber clubs teams. We have some Ports teams. We've got some Ellison Districts teams. We've got some sides coming from Cal. So from all over, coming down to Lincoln to enjoy Mother's Day and watch their daughters play netball all day. Let's hope that the weather's a little bit warmer than what it is today and a little bit friendlier than what it is today. But, yeah, we would look forward to that. And as you know, Jace, Tony Byer, fantastic supporter of sport all over around Port Lincoln, in fact, all over the peninsula. But he is always a big sponsor, supporter of the Port Lincoln Netball Association, which we really appreciate.
Yeah, he's a good man, that one, and that's where we'll leave it for today. Joe, good luck on the weekend to everyone hitting the courts, and we'll catch you next week, mate.
Will do. You take care.